It's Friday, July 3rd, 2026, and the biggest storm in years is coming together fast. And I mean that with zero exaggeration. We are watching a historic severe weather outbreak set to tear through the South and the Ohio Valley, a potentially crippling ice storm threatening millions of people who are completely unprepared for it, and a blizzard bearing down on the upper Midwest that is going to make some of the snowfall totals we've seen this season look small. And if that wasn't enough, there's a dangerous heat dome simultaneously building over the Southwest that is going to shatter early season temperature records. This is one of the most complex and impactful storm setups I have covered in years, and I need you to stay with me through this entire video because every single region of this country is going to be touched by this in some way. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the severe weather threat, because this is the part of the forecast that has my hair standing up right now. We are looking at an enhanced risk for severe weather covering a massive corridor from northeast Texas all the way through Arkansas, Tennessee, and up into southern Indiana and Illinois. And we are talking about over 20 million people sitting inside this enhanced risk zone. This is not a marginal, I'm going to watch and see kind of setup. This is a full-on, all hands on deck, get your safe space ready kind of setup. A rapidly deepening surface low is going to be the engine driving all of this, and it is going to pull an enormous amount of Gulf moisture northward ahead of a sharp, fast-moving cold front. That combination is going to create an atmosphere that is absolutely loaded with instability and wind shear, and that is exactly the recipe for a major, severe weather outbreak. Here is what I think is going to happen. Before the main squall line arrives, we are going to see discrete supercells fire up out ahead of the front during the afternoon hours. And this is the part of the setup I am most focused on from a tornado standpoint. These early supercells are going to be forming in an environment where significant tornado parameter values are going to be running between 3 and 5 across parts of Mississippi and western Tennessee. And those are not numbers I take lightly. That tells me that if a supercell can stay discrete and get going in that environment, we have the potential for strong, long-track tornadoes. I think Memphis, Jackson, and Tupelo need to be on high alert from mid-afternoon onward, because this is the window where I think the most dangerous tornado potential exists. Now, as the evening progresses, those storms are going to merge into a massive squall line, and that line is going to be packing a 45% risk for significant damaging straight line winds. We are talking about hurricane force gusts of 75 miles per hour or greater roaring through the mid-south and Ohio Valley overnight. Trees that have been swaying in the gusty winds all day ahead of this system are going to be loosened up at the roots, and when that line hits, they are coming down. Power outages are going to be widespread, and they are going to affect a lot of people. And because this is primarily a nocturnal event, peaking between roughly midnight and 4 in the morning across much of the region, you absolutely must have a way to be woken up when warnings are issued. A phone sitting on silent on your nightstand is not going to cut it. NOAA weather radio, alerts set to their loudest setting. Whatever you need to do, please make sure you have it set up before you go to bed tonight. Now, simultaneously with all of that severe weather, the cold side of this monster is going to unleash a life-threatening blizzard across the upper Midwest, and honestly, the snowfall totals that are showing up in the models right now are just plumb wild. A surface low that is going to deepen explosively as it tracks across Iowa and into the Great Lakes is going to pull tremendous moisture up from the south, and that moisture is going to collide with an Arctic air mass that has been sitting over the northern plains all week. What that gives you is incredibly intense precipitation rates, up to 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour in the heaviest bands, combined with wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour for the entire duration of the storm. That is the definition of a blizzard, not just technically a blizzard and a half. Travel is going to become literally impossible across a wide area, and I would not be surprised to see multiple interstates shut down before this is all over. Let me give you the snowfall totals as I see them right now, keeping in mind that we are still close enough out that the exact placement of the heaviest band could shift somewhat. Minneapolis is currently looking at 18 to 24 inches of snow, and that number has been trending upward with every model run over the last 24 hours. Wausau, Wisconsin, I think you are sitting in one of the hottest spots on the map, and 24 to 30 inches is a realistic range for you right now. Marquette, Michigan, you're also in a very high total zone. And when you factor in the lake effect bands that are going to fire up on the back side of this storm, some spots near Marquette could be looking at totals that approach or exceed 35 inches when it is all said and done. Eau Claire and La Crosse, I think you are looking at 14 to 20 inches. And Duluth, you are right in the thick of this too, with 16 to 22 inches currently on the table. Green Bay and Appleton, I have you in the 10 to 16 inch range right now, and that range could still go higher depending on exactly where that heavy band sets up. If you live anywhere from eastern South Dakota through Minnesota and into the upper peninsula of Michigan, this is the real deal, and you need to be finishing your preparations right now, not tomorrow. And we are about to go so much deeper into all of this, but first let me tell you about today's sponsor. You know, tracking a storm like this one is exhausting, and when I'm stuck at the desk for 18 or 20 hours straight during a major outbreak, the last thing I want to think about is what I am going to eat. That is why I am really glad that today's video is sponsored by Factor. Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, chef-crafted meals straight to your door, and they are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. No chopping, no cooking, no dishes to deal with afterward. You just heat it up and you have got a genuinely great meal ready to go. They have got a huge rotating menu every single week, so you're never eating the same thing twice. And whether you are looking for high protein options, calorie-smart meals, or just something that tastes incredible after a long storm coverage day, they have got you covered. Right now, Factor is offering our viewers 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for life when you head to factormeals.com, y'all, and use code y'all at checkout. One more time, that is factormeals.com, y'all, with code y'all for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for life. Link is in the description. Huge thanks to Factor for keeping us fed during these long storm days. Now let's get back into this forecast because we have got a lot more to cover. After the squall line tears through the South and Ohio Valley overnight, this system is not done. Not even close. It is going to wheel northeast and take direct aim at the East Coast the following afternoon and evening. And I think the Carolinas, Virginia, and Maryland need to be watching this very carefully. Right now, we have an enhanced risk in place for the Piedmont and coastal plain of the Carolinas, and the setup for that afternoon is actually somewhat conditional but potentially very significant. If that cold front slows down even slightly and allows the afternoon sun to work on the warm, moist air that is going to be streaming up the East Coast, we could see discrete supercells fire up ahead of the main line, and the instability that builds could be substantial. I am particularly watching the area from Raleigh through Fayetteville and into the Richmond metro for the potential for some significant tornadoes during the afternoon hours. But regardless of whether the front moves fast or slow, a massive squall line is going to sweep toward the coast, packing 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And if you are trying to drive home from work anywhere from Charlotte to Baltimore, you are going to be dealing with a very dangerous commute. Make sure you're watching the radar closely that afternoon. Now, behind all of this severe weather and snow, the cold air that is going to pour in is going to be downright brutal. By the following morning, temperature anomalies across the upper Midwest are going to be running 35 to 45 degrees below average. And we are talking about actual air temperatures in the single digits in Minneapolis with wind chills that are going to make it feel like 20 or 25 below zero. And this cold is not going to stay bottled up in the north either. It is going to push aggressively southward, and places like St. Louis, Cincinnati, and even Nashville are going to be dealing with temperatures crashing into the mid to upper teens behind the system. And here's the thing that people need to understand about this kind of flash freeze situation. When you have standing water on roads from all the rain that fell ahead of this system and then temperatures crash that rapidly, you get black ice forming almost instantaneously across a huge area. That morning commute from the Ohio Valley southward is going to be genuinely treacherous, and I would strongly encourage everyone in that zone to give themselves extra time, or just stay home entirely if they can. And then there is the West Coast story, which honestly deserves its own dedicated video because what is setting up out there is just remarkable. While the entire eastern half of the country is dealing with severe weather, blizzard conditions, and a flash freeze, an absolutely historic upper-level ridge is going to park itself over the desert southwest and Southern California, and it is going to send temperatures soaring to levels that we simply do not see this time of year. We are talking about the potential for the earliest triple-digit temperatures ever recorded in parts of Arizona and the Inland Empire of Southern California. Phoenix could hit 103 or 104 degrees, and if that happens, it would shatter the all-time early season record by a significant margin. Las Vegas is looking at highs potentially reaching 101, and Palm Springs could flirt with 108 degrees. You can go ahead and just throw the record book right in the garbage for these areas, because what is about to happen out there in the Southwest is genuinely unprecedented for this time of year. Now, farther north along the coast, temperatures are going to be more in the pleasant, well above average range rather than dangerous, but the farther south and inland you go, the more serious this heat becomes. If you live in Arizona, the Inland Empire, or the desert communities of Southern California, please make sure you're staying hydrated, checking on elderly neighbors, and keeping pets indoors during the hottest parts of the afternoon. The bottom line today is this. We are watching one of the most complex and potentially impactful storm systems in years come together right now, and it is moving fast. The severe weather threat for the South and Ohio Valley is real, dangerous, and primarily nocturnal, which makes it more deadly. The blizzard bearing down on the upper Midwest is going to produce snowfall totals that some of these communities have not seen in a generation. The East Coast severe weather threat is conditional, but potentially very significant. The flash freeze behind the system is going to create dangerous travel conditions across a huge area, and the historic heat dome building over the Southwest is going to shatter early season records by wide margins. Please take all of this seriously. We are going to be live tomorrow covering the severe weather outbreak as it unfolds in real time, so make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you get that alert the moment we go live. Like this video if it helped you understand what is coming, and I will see you then. Goodbye.